G'day guys and welcome back to your English Aussie. Today we're going to go through a few of the different questions you guys have had ahead of game week 32, talking about who the key players are, what the key issues are, and what we're looking forward to in game week 32. We're going to kick off with the Saka versus Palmer discussion. As you can see, Bukayo Saka and Cole Palmer have both been back recently for Arsenal and for Chelsea. This week, both of them came off the bench, Saka for 45 minutes, Palmer for 30 minutes. This was a case, I think, that Palmer was being rested to be used in the UEFA Conference League in midweek. He's just come back from a slight injury, and with Chelsea having only sort of 48 hours in between their games and then going straight into a Conference League game, they did not want to risk him over that period of time. I would expect that Palmer would be back again starting for game week 32 against Ipswich. I do think from the Saka side of things that it's more likely that Saka's sort of being minutes managed around their Champions League games with Real Madrid. Their Champions League games are going on across game week 32 with Real Madrid. So I do expect Saka to have potentially reduced minutes again in game week 32. They will be playing Real midweek this week, and then obviously Saturday will be the game week 32 for Saka against Brentford, and then midweek again after that against Madrid. I am expecting Arsenal to go out in the Champions League to Madrid, and therefore, sorry to Arsenal fans, I think Saka's minutes will pick up again from game week 33 when Arsenal do have the double. Talking about Cole Palmer, I know people have been really disappointed recently and looking to move to Saka maybe that little bit earlier. One is to do with the minutes, why I would look to not do that. The other one is possibly just to do with actually sort of tactically where Cole Palmer's been playing. And if you take a look here at sort of his heat maps over the last 4 games, obviously the Brentford game on the far right here, he came on just for 31 minutes. And then when we look over to the Tottenham game, he was deployed slightly to the left of that sort of attacking midfield area. And I think that is what stunted his chances. So I think Palmer operates at his best when he's just on that inside right of the attacking midfield area. You can see for sort of these match heat maps, and underneath here you can see the shot maps that he had in those games. So for this Tottenham game where he was a little bit further out left, he only had 2 shots right on that outside. Whereas when he's operating from that inside right role, he is managing to get a lot more shots from more central areas. So I do think if you are concerned about Cole Palmer, not to worry too much about this issue. You can see when he is looking from that more central area, his expected goals do go up quite a lot. Whereas where he is on more out towards that left-hand side on the left of that attacking midfield role, he tends to operate less in those pockets of space that he likes, and he's more likely to be picking up those assists rather than goals, as he's not able to get in those nice positions to cut in on his left foot and hit those strikes from outside of the area like he does in those other games. So for me, I wouldn't worry too much about Cole Palmer. It did look like he was playing in a little bit more of that central role against Brentford. He did pick up a few more of those nicer shots. I think he was just being rested for that game, for the Conference League. Not that I agree with Maresca's tactics. I do think Chelsea could have potentially played a full-strength side there, looking to get in the Champions League. I think is more important for them than winning that Conference League. So that could have been a little bit of a misstep. But also Maresca does know his players a lot better than we do. So potentially Palmer was struggling to be able to play all of those matches in a row. Just looking again at the sort of XG, XA, goals and assists so far this season. You can see, obviously, the expected assists are a lot higher for Bukayo Saka. The expected goals are a lot higher for Cole Palmer. You can also see Son Heung-min in here. I think you'd see at the moment the three big hitters in that midfield sort of outside, as well as Mo Salah, struggled to get returns this week. And I just thought I'd have in there an interesting little option on the end there is Morgan Rogers, who's actually sneakily brought his way up to 8 goals and 7 assists so far this term at only 5.5 million. So those of you that do have Morgan Rogers, I would look to continue holding and potentially even play him over a Bukayo Saka in game week 32. I think that's my sort of thoughts on Saka and Palmer. I think if you do have Saka, he's a hold, but probably bench for 32. If you've got Palmer, he's definitely a hold for 32 and start. And outside of that, if you do have a sort of Son Heung-min or a Morgan Rogers, again, I'd probably look to play both of them in game week 32. Moving on to the Manchester City midfielders. Now we are accustomed to a bit of Pep Roulette these days, with Pep often rotating his players regardless of the fixture, the team, their form. And we've obviously seen Savinho start the previous 7 Premier League matches before being benched for this week against Manchester United and not even brought on off the bench. Obviously, Phil Foden started, got pulled after 55 minutes for a 1-pointer. And you did also see Kevin De Bruyne again starting. I've done a little comparison of sort of the players and maybe those key players in that Manchester City midfield. Obviously, you can see Phil Foden is the main goal threat for them. The matches played, surprisingly, 25 starts, also 19, very close to Savinho. Whereas you can see De Bruyne and Doku are a little bit off the pace there. I do think Kevin De Bruyne is an interesting one. I think with this being his last season at Manchester City, I probably expect him to start all of the remaining games of the season for them, at least as many as he's able to be fit for. And I think that if you are looking to transfer into a Manchester City midfielder for that double game week in game week 33, I think Kevin De Bruyne could be a really nice differential for you. I'd expect him to start both matches in that game week. On the other side of things, between Savinho and Phil Foden, I do think Foden is probably still going to be a bit of a minutes risk over the next few games. Savinho has been looking in good form for them. Foden did limp off after the 55 minutes with what looked like a little bit of a niggle. Hopefully it's not too big a deal for him. But I think Savinho will most likely come back in for game week 32. If you do have either Savinho or Foden, I would probably just hold them one more week. Potentially, if you have Foden, look out for team news for Manchester City. Stay tuned for my deadline stream. I'll make sure to update you on all the latest team news. And if it does look that he's picking up a slight niggle, potentially someone that you could look to bench for 32 and then hope that he comes back into the fold in 33, unless you have some free transfers to move him onwards. That for me sort of rounds out the Man City side of things. One of the other key questions I think was surrounding the best Aston Villa players for double game week 33. Obviously we've got Morgan Rogers here, Marcus Rashford, Ollie Watkins and Marco Asensio. I think are the sort of key attacking players that we look at from Aston Villa. Here you can see, obviously, Ollie Watkins and Marcus Asensio here bringing up the highest expected goals. Asensio, obviously, the problem with him is he is a massive minutes risk. He's obviously had 7 games so far. Not obviously, but he's had 7 games so far for Aston Villa. He's played in 6 of them, and he's only started 3. So those non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes are slightly inflated due to the low number of games. Marcus Rashford has been starting to pick up form for Aston Villa over the last few games. He, however, was benched for Ollie Watkins in game week 31. Morgan Rogers looks to be the guy that is the most consistent man in the team at the moment, playing all of the minutes for Aston Villa. The one worry, again, I would have about Morgan Rogers, similarly to what I have about Bukayo Saka, is obviously Aston Villa play PSG in the Champions League, either side of that game week 32 fixture with Southampton. That is potentially a game that Rogers could be rested for if there was one to rest him for. I would expect them to be putting out a full strength side for that PSG game. Looking at this and looking at who I'd want to go into for game week 33, again, I probably expect Aston Villa not to progress through the Champions League against PSG, although I do think it might be quite a tight game. If they don't progress through to the next round, I'd expect Morgan Rogers to be starting the rest of the games, really, for Aston Villa, and he'd be someone that I would definitely look to bring in game week 33. It's a double for Aston Villa against Newcastle and Manchester City. Outside of that, I think one of the other doublers for game week 33 and for the bench boost is Martinez of Villa. It would be nice if you are using your bench boost to go with Raya and Martinez in game week 33 and get the goalkeeper double-double, which would be a nice way into having that one extra fixture on your bench boost. Obviously, if you don't have the money for that, you could just go down to an Areola and look for the single fixture, nice fixture against Southampton in 32. Also with that, if you can hope that Nottingham Forest beat Man City in the Champions League, in the FA Cup, and then West Ham may also have a double in 36 with Man United and Nottingham Forest. So Areola could be a good hold all the way through to then. To use in double game week 36. On to a couple of questions from you guys this week. Who is the best assistant manager for game week 32 and game week 33? For me, it's Oliver Glasner for game week 32. Crystal Palace come up against Manchester City and Newcastle. I think that's a really nice double fixture for them. Palace are fantastic against Manchester City. Normally, they cause them a lot of problems in the past, and I do expect them, with the form that they're showing at the moment, to continue to show Manchester City problems, who do still struggle in transition, and potentially the pace of Ismail Assar, and also the physicality of Mateta may cause them problems at the back. I'd go for Glasner. 2 options for the bonus 10 points. For being 5 places below them in the league, and that could really make a huge dent in your rank. What is the best week for bench boost? I certainly think game week 33 is the best week for a bench boost. It does allow you to get the maximum number of double game week players in there. I think if you bench boost in any other fixture, in any other week, you're unlikely to get as many double game weekers in there. There is a potential, if you are on assistant manager over 31, 32, 33, that you should look to sort of facilitate that bench boost towards game week 36. Perhaps you gamble on Manchester City beating Nottingham Forest. Perhaps you gamble on Crystal Palace beating Villa, or Villa beating Crystal Palace, and you keep those players in your team for the game week 36, and you go with some of the players from their opposition. Potentially Bournemouth for Aston Villa / Man City, or potentially a Wolves for Crystal Palace, or that would also be a West Ham for Nottingham Forest. So if you are on your AM and you do want another week for your bench boost, I think 36 is the way to go. I think Crystal Palace players, Aston Villa players, Nottingham Forest players, Man City players are all players that you potentially have in your team anyway at this point. So it is about saving those transfers up until we find out the results in game week 34, and then using your transfers in 35 and 36 to attack the double in 36. The third question, who should I use my triple captain on? Again, I think there are 2 options here. If you are already on your AM for 31, 32, 33, I'd look to be using it in game week 36. If Haaland's not back, potentially on Mamouche, Man City could have a double of Southampton and Bournemouth. Or alternatively, potentially you can use it on a Mateta if Palace make it through and have Tottenham and Wolves. And maybe the final option on Nottingham Forest, a Chris Wood and Anthony Elanga, who could have Leicester and West Ham. So not all lost if you do have the AM chip active at the moment. I think triple captain's definitely an option for game week 36. I do think those fixtures will be moved into the midweek of game week 36, and it will be a double. I think the Nottingham Forest Man City players are maybe the ones to target on your triple captain if you do have that, as obviously one of those teams will make it to the final and will double in 36. That's the way I'd look at it if I were you. Otherwise, if Alexander Isak is fit, plays 90 minutes this week, in game week 30, in game week 31, I'd probably look to use my triple captain on him in 32 against United and Crystal Palace. I think that could be a really nice fixture. If you don't like Isak and you are looking for a differential in 32, Mateta v City and Newcastle for another double could be someone nice that you look to use it on. If you have enjoyed this video, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's just a small thing for you guys, but it really makes a huge difference to my channel, so I would really appreciate if you could just make that small effort. It makes a real big difference, so thank you very much. And I will finish with my FPL team selection for game week 32. As you can see, I do have my triple captain active on Alexander Isak. I am starting a back three of Munoz, Milenkovic and Dan Burn. Palmer will be starting for me with Jacob Murphy, Ismail Assar, Mo Salah. Up front, the trio of Mateta, Isak and Marmoush. Obviously, I'm going to wait and see about Isak's condition and hope that he's fully fit. If he is fully fit, he definitely will be my triple captain. If he is not fully fit, I may consider delaying that triple captain to game week 36, or I might use it on Mateta in the game week. So we'll have to wait and see for the injury news there. I've obviously got the triple Newcastle and the triple Palace for game week 32, so I'm pretty happy with the team set up there. Once again, join us for the deadline stream later this week. If you do have any other questions that you want answered, chuck them below in the comments. I reply to every comment on YouTube, and I will get round to everything. If you're keen for some other videos this week, let me know what you're interested in hearing about. Happy to try and produce one more before that deadline stream. Thank you so much for watching this video. This has been your English Aussie, and I'll catch you guys later. Have a great game week, guys.